on the 1 mana play potential, and you're just like, I'm not playing anything till turn 2. Deal with it. Here we have some actual removal that I think is going to come in real handy against Simon Nielsen's deck. It's also just like efficient removal against the stuff he does, because you can get a 3-mana Woe Strider or a 3-mana Judith and clean that up with just 1 mana from Disfigure.
Yeah, and the mana efficiency can't be understated when Simon's playing cards like Tide Taker.
Right. Yeah, great point. That's another card we really haven't spent all that much time on. You don't see it featured in every single Winota deck, but it has looked very strong for Simon.
Yeah, there was a match earlier that Patrick and Cedric were covering where Simon had a Tide Taker. His opponent couldn't just pass with Brazen Borrower mana up, and so they were forced to make a play, and then Simon instead sacrificed Tide Taker to Woe Strider to generate a token, which then could trigger Winota. So kind of just getting his opponent on both axes.
Yep. Tide Taker puts you in the squeeze, as I like to call it. Very adept at doing that. Slow start for Horie here. Just a couple of tap triomes. Meanwhile, Simon curving out. Tide Taker, Woe Strider, Selfless Savior, all in the battlefield, and the beats come down. Draw here from Horie. Looks like Agonizing Remorse. Gonna go ahead and fire that one off? Question mark.
Yeah, and I mean, this battlefield really reflects one of the primary strengths of Mardu Winota. It's not just like this pseudo combo deck that tries to assemble, cardboard plus Winota. These creatures are all pretty sticky. Like, traditional removal spells don't line up that well against them.
Very true. Agonizing Remorse going to find the last relevant card in Simon's hand. We know how quickly the top of the deck can change things, though, for this deck. You find a Winota up there, it might just be GG. We are going to get a Scry.
Oh, it's
stays on top.
That's not good.
Not a good sign. Judith. Okay, not the best possible top, but still very strong here.
Yeah, if you're breathing a sigh of relief because your opponent topped Judith, then, things are not going that well.
Bad sign. And there's no 4th land forthcoming for Toru as of yet. Can't take a shot at it with Uro, but I mean, that's just dead.
This game's just over, right? Yeah.
Concede. Simon Nielsen, just like that, going to take game 1. And I'm going to take a shopping trip over to coalesceapparel.shop and get all those fresh shirts. Love the Mana Flood shirt. I think the other one is like a Diet Mountain Dew variant, the Diet Mana Scoop. I really have to get that one. It's just very on brand for me. Of course, the Taco Bell shirt, Draco Genus, love them all. Plenty of Coalesce apparel in my wardrobe.
Yeah, that Mana Flood one's pretty good.
So we're going to the sideboards now. Obviously, what we've seen out of the Sultai decks is you just bring in a bunch of spot removal. We already talked about Disfigure. You see that was the first card to get in the mix. I see a Lockmere Serpent hanging out in the sideboard. That's one I haven't seen much of.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I guess that's reasonable anti-Uro technology.
Okay, could buy that. One of the interesting things for Simon Nielsen here, Claim the Firstborn does come out of the deck. I understand that. That makes sense to me. But I still love having it in game 1 against Sultai. I think it's such a valuable tool there. I can understand once you have a post-board plan that's a little bit more focused on aggression, which it looks like what Simon's doing here, getting away from that more reactive card.
Yeah, I think that's a huge strength of the card is, it's not dead game 1 against these decks that are not, super creature-based. But, when you're sideboarding, you get to improve your percentage points a little bit in the slots. But, if you draw 2 of them in game 1, you're not just dead on the spot.
Another strong-looking draw here from Nielsen.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just like perfect mana every time. I would play this deck too if I could draw like this. On Turo's side, not a whole lot going on. No green source yet. Only 2 lands. Does have that key Disfigure that we mentioned.
Disfigure is nice. I need green mana to turn on this Cultivate.
Yeah, and going to need to get up to that Extinction event for sure. Is just going to protect the life total aggressively. Go ahead and burn that Disfigure right away. There's the green mana. Okay, now this hand can work.
Yep, that was a huge draw. But I mean, we even saw it in game 1. Toru had some interaction, a couple Aether Gusts, and just didn't matter. Like, the cards just don't always line up well.
No, very true. Dreadhorde Busher getting into the aggressive mix. Play from Toru is going to be Cultivate.
And despite how strong Simon's opening hand was, a weird part about this deck is that you don't just want to keep drawing more of the same. Like picking up another Tide Taker, picking up another Gutter Bones doesn't actually improve Simon's hand.
Very true. Simon wisely going to get some diversity in converted mana costs here. A couple of 1-drops and the 2-drop now on the battlefield.
But Legion Warboss was a big pickup, so if Toru feels forced to just cast Extinction Event and get a honest 2-for-1, or maybe even just trade with the Dreadhorde Butcher, Simon has a nice follow-up there. And then we kind of see this, squeeze, as you put it, where Marty Winota puts a little bit of pressure on their opponent, makes them have to answer their battlefield, and then they're suddenly live to draw a big heavy hitter like Judith or Winota herself.
Yep. Feels like really classic aggro in that sense. Just like, here's a problem, answer it early, and then here's the secondary problem that you can't have taxed yourself too much for. Let's see what the choice is here.
I mean, I think this is close. I really don't know. Okay, just choosing to take the 2-for-1. Sometimes it's hard to give up a 2-for-1. But this Dreadhorde Butcher is going to keep growing.
I mean, there's the possibility that Winota just ends the game there if you don't take out those 2 creatures, right?
Yep, definitely a good point.
Nice draw off the top for Toru. It's Nissa who shakes the world. Certainly going to up the mana production, but that Legion Warboss threatening a lot of damage very quickly.
Yep, and to get a trade on the Warboss, Toru is going to have to take, 7 damage? Dropping to 6, and a Dreadhorde Butcher will be a 5/5? That's pretty scary territory.
Get a little chip damage in with the Forest. Yeah, okay. This feels perilous over on Toru's side. Tide Taker from Simon Nielson.
Godless Shrine's not even a bad pickup. Simon now has the option of just playing both Tide Takers that forces Toru to make a move, or just commit to a block with the Forest.
There is second Tide Taker.
Notably, even abilities are taxed, so Shark Typhoon.
Wild card is Tide Taker.
Whoa, okay. I did not expect this.
No, I didn't either. Gonna go ahead and take that Nissa off the battlefield. I get it. I really do. Like, that's all that Toru has really shown you thus far.
Okay.
Give up your Legion Warboss to answer Nissa?
Yeah, that's fair.
Your battlefield's still really robust. You're not very well diversified in the event of another Extinction event. That's what I will point out. Like, that would be the absolute blowout here.
Right. Okay. So, Toru has decided that Nissa is just that important. It looks like the plan is what you spoke about. Try to just hit Extinction Event off this Narset. Oh, wow.
There it is. Key find.
Okay. It's not the full cleanup. Legion Warboss will still stick around, but that's a huge, huge swing.
Yeah, especially with that Nissa on the battlefield. Really got paid off for keeping that alive.
Yep. Nicely played.
And you see the oops from Simon Nielson.
Not sure what that's in reference to. I guess I shouldn't have had you draw that or something.
You could say challenging the Nissa is a mistake in that scenario. Like, if you know that's the card coming off, then you can talk yourself into another play there, I think.
That's fair.
I wouldn't call it an oops, though. I don't think it goes that far. Tide Taker Gutter Bones, the hand for Simon Nielson. Going to have to try and put together a winning position with some pretty meager resources in the face of both a Narset and a Nissa.
Yeah, I think if Winota had come rolling off the top of the deck there, Simon would still have a chance with 2 triggers from this Legion Warboss, but as it stands, I just think Simon's just too far behind, just has too many Mopey cards.
Is able to pressure that Nissa. That's going to get off the battlefield, eliminate the draw here for Toru. Finds more removal, should he want it. Nothing that cleans up Winota, but now you have enough that you can just get the things that enable it and be completely okay.
And with the presence of Uro and the Shark Typhoon, I think Tora can even afford to just be surgical and just spend some removal spells on these creatures. Simon just has no cards in hand, so.
Yeah, Nielson also at a fairly precarious life total. You don't need this game to go on all that much longer. Dreadhorde Butcher off the top. Okay, nice hasty threat there.
Funnily enough, Disfigure lines up really well against Dreadhorde Butcher.
That is true. Not an interaction we've seen a lot of in this standard, but you'd expect it to have come up more.
So this looks like a Shark for 6. Maybe I just can't count at all. For 3. Oh, there's no Nissa on the battlefield. I don't know why I was thinking there was a Nissa.
We're so used to seeing Nissa on the battlefield at this point. We just assume it's always there. All Nissa all the time. You know, we didn't mention it going into this round. I want to give another shout out, though, to Alexander Gordon Brown. We watched Alexander play a few rounds ago with a very unique take on Sultai, very counter magic focused, a little bit more of a flash vibe going on, Brazen Borrowers. Alexander has not lost in this tournament. The only 7-0
awesome.
left, and is going to be in the top 8, just beating up on all these Sultai decks that he has farmed all day long.
And it's just not surprising. Like, if you look at the deck list, it just looks so well suited for the mirror matches.
Absolutely agree. Going to be real interesting to track in the top 8.
I believe even watching a match that Cedric and Patrick covered with his deck, during sideboarding, the deck was called like Anti-Nissa Sultai.
Sure. Makes a lot of sense.
So this one's basically over. Just Tori just has to clean up, kill a couple creatures, stick an Uro if these 2 3/3s won't get over the finish line. But I think this one is handily going to a game 3.
Does appear that way. Just all about risk minimization at this point. You find the ways you could possibly lose, and then you play around them. With double removal spell up, there's not many. Draw is Sacred Foundry. It's still possible Nielson buys a little bit of time here, but not sure what it's in service of.
Yeah, the game might go on for a few more turns, depending on how cautious Toro needs to be as far as extending this Uro, but I think there are basically no outs. Even in the chance that Simon hits a Winota and gets to attack with 2 or 3 creatures, I think just the attack back would be lethal.
Yeah, you could just force it here, eliminate Disfigure, kill 2 creatures, and then Vraska the other one, and there'll be no blockers, and you know that's safe. It's 100% lethal.
Yep.
There is the Disfigure on the token. Looks like we are going with this play. Toru found lethal. We'll be headed to a deciding game 3. That was a nice little draw from Simon. Didn't quite develop optimally. I think missed a land drop in a very key spot. That could have really pushed the deck into overdrive.
Yeah, Simon's hand was like very close to complete in the opener, but just drew a few too many of the small ball creatures. Like you said, missed a land drop and just barely wasn't able to get there in the face of Anissa.
Simon shamefully turning on his own creatures there, directing a Judith trigger. That brings us to game 3. Players headed back to the sideboard. I'm headed back to StarCityGames.com. You know I'm always buying from Star City, but if I'm going to buy their cards, you need to sell them your cards. They give you a 30% trade bonus, single sealed product, large collection, bulk. And if you have a store, you're not going to be in the magic game anymore, talk to Star City. We'll take good care of you. My friends over there at the dealer booths. Can't wait to look through a dealer booth again and waste a bunch of money.
Yeah, going to a Magic tournament sounds really fun.
Really does. I am having a blast here on the SCG Tour Online. There's something to be said for getting to wake up in my own bed pet my dog in the morning, have a nice little shower, nice little stretch, and sit right in my comfortable office and get to work.
Which one of your offices, though, do you prefer?
I'm using the downstairs office today.
Okay. But what? I for sure you were in another office, though.
That was my Brooklyn office, yes.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Your Brooklyn office.
Right. Today I'm using the downstairs for most of the show.
Where are you going to be in the semifinals, though?
That's a good question.
You need to teach me how to, like, teleport. That sounds pretty rad.
I keep a private jet. I think we have some Elder Gargaroth. Is that how you pronounce that card? Gargaroth? Gagaroth?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a better pronunciation.
Okay. I feel like you should have to know that. If you had a hand in creating the card, you have to know how officially it's pronounced.
You know, honestly, they go through so many different names between, like, playtest names, concept names,
right.
Small tweaks. It's kind of a miracle that I even know the names of the card.
No, that's true. You have to kind of learn them 2 times.
Sometimes 3 or 4.
Sure. Looks like both players satisfied with 7 here. Bit slower of a start, I would say, for Simon Nielson. Maybe not. Dreadhorde Butcher does a lot to alleviate slow starts.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit slower, but a lot more powerful cards. Gonna have the 3rd land drop rolled up. Also, copies of Woe Strider, Basri Lieutenant, and Judith, and then a 4th land to play it all. So I really like Simon's hand, but Toru with just some honest removal spells and then acceleration into Nissa that, you know, both players gonna have what they're asking for.
Right. We'll see which side comes out better. Is going to get untapped land here to be able to play Woe Strider, like that one with Judith rolled up. Another Heartless Act.
Sense.
Plenty of removal coming off the top here for Toru.
Yep. So the option here of Uro plus, put your 4th land on the battlefield, or wait a turn, Heartless Act, and then next turn Uro, put land in untapped and Heartless Act again.
Just always feels like Uro to me. I mean, you just get your advantages pushed so much harder because you get Nissa, and then that equals another spell, and that's how you get to your multi-spell turns.
Yep. Now the option of playing Nissa and untapping a land and leaving up Heartless Act. So a nice start for Toru, but Bosmer's Lieutenant coming down.
Gonna buff one of the squad. There was a hard punish available again. Like if there's a Winota off the top, that could have gotten really ugly. I mean, it's not like old Winota where you're going to get Agent of Treachery, right? There's nothing quite that disastrous, and you think you can maybe claw your way back.
Interesting call out here. The decision to put the +1/+1 counter on the goat token means that the weakest creature on the battlefield is now insulated from Heartless Act. Kind of a weird interaction that Bosri's Lieutenant sort of checks Heartless Act.
Yeah. I guess you also assume that's your most disposable creature. It's the one most, like, you're going to suicide attack it into a bunch of scenarios, so you may as well get the return there, or you just get the 2/2.
Or maybe this was Simon's plan all along. I'm just going to go and convert this and try to dig towards Oinota.
Oh, I like that. Top.
Ooh, okay.
Gutter Bones.
Interesting.
I buy it.
Just choosing a 1-drop to be mana efficient. Also, Gutterbones has some pretty nice synergy with Judith.
Yeah. I think that's a read for Toru doesn't have Extinction Event. And that's what enables that play and enables Gutterbones kept on top. Because it's going to be really hard to come out of this position without an Extinction Event. Going after Nissa again. 11 power worth of creatures. Toru at 12 life. Gonna go after the Nissa.
And if I'm counting correctly, there's not a lot of great options for Toru here. You'd want to Heartless Act the Judith, but that is going to kill the Nissa, so you're kind of forced to target the Bosri's Lieutenant.
Let's see which way Toru wants to go. First step is going to be making a block.
In notably, Toru doesn't really have any big payoffs for Nissa, so even though they're going to be able to untap, I still think Simon's in okay shape.
Is going to go after that Bazu's lieutenant. Simon going to take a free scry here. Bottom's a selfless savior.
Oh, excuse me. Actually gets to clean up the Nissa too.
Yeah, using that Woe Strider. Go ahead and get that off. Now with only 4 mana available, never mind. There's your 5th mana. Good time for that to show up.
Yeah, I mean, that was nicely set up by Simon. Recognizing that Gutter Bones helps to clear an opposing Nissa, but the 5th land off the top, certainly going to make things more complicated.
Yeah, going to allow Toru to play a very similar turn next turn. Nissa, untap. Do we have Heartless Act to leave up? We don't. Okay.
Yeah, notably no Overgrown Tomb or Zagoth Triumph.
That matters a lot.
It definitely does.
Just going to get in with that forest. Bring the beats.
I think you just take the block here, right?
Yeah, it looks like Simon's lining it up.
I'm a little surprised with this attack. This is kind of playing around Wynota a little bit. So Simon takes the trade. The Knight token is not a human.
Block with Judith.
Whoa. Okay.
I am confused by that. I feel like I'm missing something.
I am in the same boat.
Okay.
Okay, it was the 4th card for Woe Strider. That must have been the reason.
Got it. Like I said, I felt like I was missing something.
Regardless, though, I really feel like giving Simon any option in that situation is not ideal for Toru, but I guess I could also see an attempt to play around like Claim the Firstborn or something along those lines.
Okay. Yeah, and now Simon convinced, going to have to do some attacking to win this one. Goes after the life total of Toru. Toru, though, now has a bin ready to cast an Uro.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what the attack was about, because this is perfect Uro casting. Only 5 cards in the bin.
Okay. All right. Okay. We're it all makes sense now.
Right. Players playing at a very high level. It's tough to assess these like secondary considerations, like size of graveyards, when you're dealing with these escape creatures. But I think they're informing a lot of the decisions we're seeing here that are not immediately clear to us. Going to go ahead and plus this Nissa. Juice up that Triome.
Definitely
and just leave up a bunch of removal on this turn.
Yep. Skipping out on Vraska, even though that was theoretically a good turn for Vraska, makes a lot of sense. Just don't want Simon to cheese you out with Wynota.
Agreed. Keep up that Heartless Act. Stay safe. Azotep Reaver going to come down. The battlefield is wide for Simon, but with Uro at the ready, it feels like this one's starting to get away. Yep. Another removal spell, Heartless Act. Feels like Toru has had 1,000 removal spells this game.
Yeah, I think given the 2 copies of Heartless Act, it's going to be really hard for Simon to get out of this.
Vraska comes down, gets to work, takes out the Woe Strider, and some really dinky-looking creatures. Yeah, we're just getting aggressive. Easy to get aggressive when most of your creatures have vigilance and gain life, I'll say that. But still, this game is not going to be long.
I mean, you got to give a lot of credit to the Smarty Wynota deck. It worked through a lot of things, including a Nissa, a pile of removal spells, but that's just the power of Soul Ties. Inevitably, if you can work your way back towards escaping Uro and, can stick a Nissa onto the battlefield, then just things get out of hand.
Heck of a magic card. Gigantha going to be the play for Simon. Don't think that's going to be enough to bail him out here. And with a hand absolutely loaded with removal, I think Toru Horie is going to be locking up a slot in our top 8.
Might even be on this turn.
Yeah, going to go ahead and burn that Heartless Act on the Giganta, and that is going to get the good game from Simon Nielsen, and that means Horie has locked up that top 8 berth with Soul Tie